Hello, friends, and welcome to the Doing What Matters podcast. I'm your host, Teresa McCloy.
And I'm your co host, Erica Vinson, and we're thrilled that you're listening in today as we dive into discussions about life, business, and all the things that truly matter.
Here on the Doing What Matters podcast, we embrace a holistic approach to living, a way of life rooted in rest, not rush. It's about connecting to our real self, our real life, and our real work, and remembering who God uniquely created us to be and redefine success through a different lens.
So, whether you're here to find inspiration, practical advice, or really just a moment of connection, we're glad you're here. We are super excited today. We are welcoming one of our dear friends, Jordan Mercedes, to the podcast for a conversation that we have really been anticipating. Jordan is not only a friend, she is a co-instructor at Professional Christian Coaching Institute. She teaches the ethics and the group coaching class. She's a master certified coach through the International Coaching Federation. She also focuses in her own business working with executive leaders. She coaches coaches to go to the next level. And she does that in this season through her Brave Coaching Mastermind and her Brave Leadership Mastermind. And we're so excited to welcome you, Jordan, to the conversation.
Well, I find it an honor to be here with two of my favorite people. I can just say that because it's true. And we get to do this together. I'm excited.
It is so exciting. We all work together, just to give you a little backstory, behind the scenes with Professional Christian Coaching Institute on some of the core teamwork in fractional positions and different things. One of the things that I really want to talk about today is actually a brand new book that you've just put out on the market within the last 30 days. It has hit print. And Eric and I've known you for a while. So we've been cheering you on from behind the scenes to say, yes, this is a book that is needed in the marketplace. If you've listened to the podcast for a while, as Eric and I both work as coaches, just like Jordan, that we do a lot of coach training, a lot of development in coaching. And so this book in the marketplace, it's professional group coaching for growth and transformation. Did I get that title right,
That's
Jordan?
absolutely right.
Oh, yay. Because it tells exactly what this book is about. But I want to dive in because I know there are coaches out there that listen to this podcast that will enjoy reading through this book because group coaching is such a needed space in the marketplace. Just tell us a little bit about the book. What was the inspiration that said this book needs to be written?
So thank you for that, Teresa. I have had the pleasure over the last few years teaching a group coaching class to professional coaches for twice a year. In that class, I have been paying attention to what the students are interested in, where are they most motivated, and what gets in their way. And I probably started writing the book because I saw what was getting in the way for coaches. I saw that they were approaching this from this very technical, or I'm not ready, or I'm going to stand on the sidelines and ponder and think about it and think about it. And me, I'm an activator. That's one of my top skills. I'm like, hey, write a plan and jump in, go. You know how to coach. But I realized there was just some pieces making people nervous. And then I would run into a coach maybe a year after we had our class, and they're still at the same place, still thinking about jumping in. And so I wanted to strip back everything that wasn't essential. So it is a how to start a group. It is not a group to teach people how to coach. That's why it's for professional coaches, with the assumption that by the time they get to this book, they've already been through coach training. They understand what non-directive coaching is. They understand the different elements of coaching. This is a workbook to help you move from the sidelines into action.
Yeah.
And that's how the book is set up.
I love it. I have the book in my possession. Eric and I, through the work that we do at the Real Life Process, do a lot of group coaching, a lot of leading of groups. And so it was time for me to sharpen my skills. So I've been waiting for this book to come out. And I do love the way you've laid it out in workbook form. It does feel very interactive. A question I have is somebody read through the book, what would you want their biggest takeaway to be after they've gone through the book? What would you want someone to walk away with?
Now, I would want them to walk away saying, I can do this. I'd want them to walk away feeling like all of the examples, the questions, the exercises, the resources that are included in the book gave me enough to feel like I can walk away and start. And the second thing I'd want them to know, and I don't have to do it perfect. I can walk away, I can start, and I can learn and adjust along the way. That is what I hope is the biggest takeaway from here.
And Jordan, I loved just even that movement from the sidelines to take action. And you said it's a beautiful how to give them some practical action. And in the title of your book, it talks about growth and transformation. And growth happens with coaching skills, as you said, all those things. But as we activate, say a little bit about this transformational piece that happens within groups.
Oh, so big. I'm hearing your question, Erica, and my brain is like, okay, where do I start? Because transformation is what we do as coaches. We don't just want to sit down and have a conversation. So whether you're coaching one-on-one or whether you're coaching one-to-many as in group, I believe every coach wants to see the people they're engaging with have a transformative experience. Otherwise, we could just be sitting at the coffee shop having coffee and doing a chit chat. So the first thought is it is a part of the design of a professional coach to want to have an experience transformation in the coaching partnership. When I talked about coaches staying on the sideline, one of the areas where coaches can get so bogged down is in the technical parts of coaching, whether again, you're coaching one-on-one or you're coaching a group. But the technical parts are super, super important. But the parts that will change a life are the transformative parts. It is how you engage in a group. These days, group coaching fits so much where our culture is right now. There is a reason why social media is blowing up and people have more social media engagement than they have sometimes face-to-face engagement, is because we long for community. We long for connection. And so the ability to create, and I'm going to get back around to the transformative part, but these are some of the elements that build into that transformation when we can be in a safe community and combine it with a learning of any kind. Maybe I'm an executive and I'm learning how to communicate better, and I'm doing that with a team of executives, and we're all sharpening our executive communication skills. In a group, that's a little community where people feel that I can not only learn and grow, but I can have community and I can have connection. Those are the elements of transformation. We can be transactional all day long. Here is a teaching, fill out the 3 steps to it, take a test, and voila, that's very transactional. But transformational is when we get to do what we're doing right now. We're talking, we're engaging one another, we're inviting I like to say our head and our heart into the conversation. And that's what happens in the way that I get to teach group coaching, that I lead group coaching, and that I do it in my own group, is inviting the head and the heart into these spaces together so that we can think about growth and change and we can experience it from the inside out.
As you said those 2 words, transactional and transformational. One is just, this is an action. This is something between the 2 of us. I did this, you did this, this caused you to take that action, right? Whereas transformational is really that internal forming and reforming of self. And as you were just describing the difference between sitting down and having a cup of coffee with someone or 2 or 3 people, right? Actually was at my local coffee shop here yesterday, and I saw a group of women that I know from my church all getting together to have coffee. And as you were saying that, I thought, that's going to be a great conversation. But there's a difference between that and a group coaching experience that is led in a way by a coach or by someone. It could be the business owner. It could be whoever, that is really purposeful. And this is a transforming conversation that we're having together.
And I'd love to add in the part where we can focus on anything in life. We can focus on the doing of a thing or the becoming of a thing. And the transformational part is, it is the becoming that we are doing in the group together. And that can be created in a space, professional guidance with the coach and with other people who have all agreed to be in this group because of who we are becoming together. And that is what I love about group coaching.
Before we go too much further, I want to go back just a little bit to what you referenced in the book and Erica kind of referenced, I had the opportunity actually to sit in Jordan's class just last week. And I watched her do this beautiful exercise of us all introducing ourselves. And then you taught us by doing how we could engage in a group. Would you mind just sharing that little tidbit with our listening audience of just how that exercise set up the group so differently? Because I think these are the resources that people are going to get from the book. So if you're leading groups in any way, shape, or form, as a coach, in your church space, in your business, whatever, just these little nuances make all the difference. So do you mind walking us through that little introduction piece that you did?
Oh,
Because
I
it was
love
so
that
fun.
part. Thank you for asking. So just a hint, when the book is meant to be active learning, and so it's meant for the reader, the participants, the students in the class to learn and activate right away so that learning sticks. One of the things that I like to do in a brand new group is just take the idea that most of the people don't know each other. They may know me because they've called, they've registered, they've seen me somewhere, but they don't know one another. And that's one of the super glues or superpowers of a group is, again, that sense of connection and community. And sometimes it takes long to build. So I do this exercise where I ask everyone the very first time they're together to introduce themselves and just talk a little bit about their coaching journey, because that class is for coaches. And then I will ask them a question and I'll say, go put your answer in the chat. So what's the question that I asked? I may have asked, what was it that drew them to the class, or what were they most excited about? And I had everyone put their answer in the chat. Now, once everyone put their answer in the chat, instead of having them read out their own, then I ask them to do another thing. And I say, take a look at the chat, take someone else's comment that you were inspired by, or that related to your own purpose for being here, or that just resonated with what they said, and share that with the group. So this gets over that really awkward moment of introduce yourself and tell us something about yourself. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really a closet introvert. Like, I'm an inside person. When I'm in a brand new group, if someone says, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, they're going to probably get about 3 or 4 words, because I don't want the camera on me yet. I just want to be in the crowd. But if someone said, look in the list and talk about someone else. So if you had something in that list, Teresa, I could look at it and I could say, Teresa said she was inspired because she loves to learn in community, and I feel the same way too. That is the exercise we did at the beginning of the class, and the class
It was
is
great.
over 20 people, and this got the engagement happening so much because someone else was talking about me and I wasn't talking about myself, and then I got to talk about someone else. And I watched the aha moments for the coaches in the room go, oh my goodness, right away, synergy is happening. We don't know each other, but we feel a little bit more connected. There's the tension of we're all brand new. All of that gets to lift in record time. After we did this exercise, I was sharing with the class, that was intentional. I do that on purpose. That wasn't by accident, but that is an intentional strategy when you're coaching a group to start building connection. And I like to say this thing, go slow to go fast. So there might have been some students that were like, you took up the whole class to make sure we had connection. And I'm like, absolutely.
You set the groundwork for everyone feeling connected. If you're leading any type of group, this isn't just for coaching. It works in setting up a group coach community well. But if you're leading a Bible study at your church, or you even have team members that you want to connect, whether that's in person or online, this is a little exercise of just letting them share someone else's story other than their own, that I just thought was a great little exercise.
Absolutely. And Jordan, as you were talking about stepping across the sideline, getting into the arena, actually taking action, safety was one of the first things you mentioned. It's one of our core competencies, even through the International Coaching Federation. And cultivating that safety and trust, just as you said, accelerates the connection. And it also starts to help us listen to one another. And I know, in addition to teaching as a fellow faculty member, Jordan, you've been my instructor. And the first time I remember stepping into your ethics class, you lead with love. And so there's a difference between just having a group, even a Christian group, a community, a Christian community and a transformational community. And so group coaching really has the opportunity to cultivate transformational community. And I think that leads us well into saying, okay, we're talking about group coaching and we've been in groups, but how would we really define what is group coaching? Because there's team coaching as well, and we can talk a little bit about that. But what is group coaching through the lens and the perspective that you see in a transformational way?
Group coaching is the ability to come together for a common cause, first of all. So let's just take the executive who wants to sharpen their leadership skills, others who want to do the same. So they come together for a common goal, but they are still learning individually. So even though they're all together because this is strengthening the communication skills of your executive team, they each have their own goal of what they want to get out of that and take away from that time. That's a little bit different than team coaching. When a team comes together, so if I'm leading a team within an organization, they may say, come in and work with our leadership team because we want to learn how to communicate this way. We have a framework, we have a system, and we want to coach this team to all do this system. So that means everyone's goal is the same, to learn this system and learn to communicate through this framework. Group coaching is like having a group of 10 clients. Everyone's a different client. But team coaching is like having a group of one client with 10 people in it. So that's the biggest difference is when you're coaching a team, you have the defined goal. Everyone wants to get to that same place. You're coaching a group, you have a defined theme, and everyone travels according to what their individual takeaway they're looking for in that team. And I like the part when you talk about like leading with love, because I like to ask coaches, what's your starting place? What value are you bringing in? I like to say love is my superpower, and I say it for two reasons. One is because I believe it, and the other is because it keeps me accountable. And if I'm ever not acting in love, I get to check myself and be like, hey, girlfriend, what's happening here? Where's the love part? But we all come in with a filter that's important to us. And so for a coach, what filter are you coming in with that you can bring to help add value and substance to the group that you're offering?
I love the definition that you just gave there. You may want to just rewind a little bit because Jordan just gave a great definition of the difference of working with a group with individual outcomes and working with a team with one outcome. And if you are someone that's in the coaching industry and it's newer for you and you're thinking about where do I like to show up? What's my superpower? Just think about those two differences. Do you like that I go in and I help a team get to one outcome? Or do you feel comfortable in a group setting where you have a theme? And Jordan, I'd love to explore what are some themes that you've seen that are really good themes, good topics that make great group coaching experiences where people have individual outcomes in a group?
Teresa, one of the themes that comes to bat, and a lot of these things come straight from the classes from the students when I ask them what do they want to focus on. But I had a student, and her theme and her area of focus was around supporting real estate agents. And so she started a group coaching program for realtors specifically so that they could grow in their confidence, they could grow in their professional presence, they could grow in getting maybe through some of their own barriers of connecting, selling, whatever that was. So that was that's a niche, but definitely one needed and that had a lot of takers. And so she couldn't keep her groups filled them fast enough because it was fulfilling a need for realtors that they didn't have. So that's one that absolutely professional for realtors. And I think in addition to that, groups that help people overcome challenges such as how do I bounce back after retirement?
Yeah.
How do I feel like life still matters to me when I'm in the second half of my life? And that was really great. I'm in a whole different place. And now what do I do? So those are just a couple of them. I have so many of them, but I'll just throw those two out for you.
I lead a group here in my local community, and it's called Real Life SheEO. It's all women business owners. We're all coming together on a monthly basis. We're around a certain theme of all being business owners, like you said about real estate agents, but they all have individual outcomes. So I will say this too, many times along with group coaching could be individual sessions that you might be doing with the members of the group. So your one-to-one coaching might be part of that as you're building that out. People have individual outcomes, but I just love giving people that practical. So what would I theme my groups around? What is my superpower that I feel like I can come in and serve well?
And knowing from there that you can really, I mean, I loved what you said, Jordan. I've listened to the people that I've been in community with to hear what they need. And so you can design groups out of that. How has group coaching helped you honor your capacity as a coach to really continue to lead with love?
I think the biggest thing with group coaching, and probably again with any coaching, is what I believe about the people I get to coach. I believe change is possible. I believe growth is possible. When someone sits in front of me, if I have a brand new group or a one-on-one client, I start off from a place of believing in them. Sometimes when they don't believe yet in themselves, when they're not quite sure that they can accomplish it. And so one of my most important commitments to my group is that I'm present and that I believe in the participants and that I'm there to support their expertise because they are the experts of them. I'm not the expert in the group. It's a shared learning environment and they're the experts of themselves. I'm there to create a safe space so that they can do that explorative work of discovery, of growth, of attaining a goal that's important to them. So that's how I honor that. And I guess I could break it down simply, Erica, is to say my goal is to serve. I want to serve the group more than I want anything else.
As you talk about that, what would you say that happens in a participant in the group because they're in a group community experience as opposed to one-to-one coaching? What's the difference? What do you see that's the power of that community? Can you put that into words?
Sure. So I believe, of course, there's value in both. And I like what you said, Teresa, that with my Brave Coaching Mastermind, they get both. They get the group, and then included in that is they get a session, one-on-one session with me. I think the most profound thing that I get to experience is when we are doing coaching in a group, maybe doing some discovery around a particular topic that we can all relate to. And when someone says, I thought I was the only one. I thought everyone else knew that except for me. So when they're listening to their other partners in the group say, I have struggled with walking into a room and feeling confident, and I thought it was just me. I thought something was wrong with me, but now they're listening to other people saying they have the same challenge or struggle. So I think the ability to be able to relate, to not feel like you're in something alone, to feel that if I need to learn this and she needs to learn that, then how can we both support each other in that? But that's the main thing, is people don't feel alone when group coaching is done right.
I love that.
And that community piece, we talked about that even before we hit record. And Jordan, you were just sharing some real wisdom as it relates to communities.
Recently, before the book came out, I was on another podcast. And after it was over, I got a few different emails and different people called with feedback. I started to see a pattern, and they said, Jordan, when you talked about community and the ability that a coach has to create community in a group, I want to know more of that. That really moved me. It wasn't so much the technique. It was that they loved the group coaching, but it was the idea that I can coach a group and build community at the same time. That was one of the biggest takeaways. And so I want to offer that and remind coaches that if you yourself want to create a certain community around a topic, whatever your life experience might be, it could be going out and having adventures, whatever that is, but you can create community around that by coaching people through taking risks or doing something they've never done before. But it was the emphasis on community. And I think there was one more thing that I said in that interview that I'll share with you here, is I remember saying something that I believe God puts us in rooms. I believe our life is not just a random thing. I believe if I show up in a space, if I show up in a room, if I show up in a group, it's just my belief, but my faith tells me it's not by accident. And so I feel that my life is very led and orchestrated by God's grace. So that's the other part, that when I look at a team, whether I'm in the group or if I'm leading the group, feel like we are all there for a reason, for an amazing reason. And that's the unfolding of what gets to happen when you're in a group. As you can tell, I can talk about the community part like forever, but it's
I
really
love it. I love it. It is such a huge part, as Erica and I've led groups now for several years with our community, the Real Life Process community. We just actually returned a few days ago from our retreat, an in-person retreat time that we have together with our coaches. And I'm just always blown away by the depth of community, of them being together, doing life together intentionally. I keep going back to this picture in my mind of people just having coffee together, which is not a bad thing. But the difference between sitting down to have coffee with each other and chit chat and do that, and intentional learning and development and formation, that transformational formation that we can do together. There is absolutely nothing like it. So if that's exciting for you, we want to share some ways that you can connect to Jordan, both through her book. Oh, praise God, it's now out in the marketplace and you can just learn from her goodness. Whether you ever get to take a class with her or not, you can learn from the book. And we have other ways that we want to encourage you to connect with Jordan as well.
Yeah, Jordan, if someone is really just their curiosity's piqued, they're noticing that kind of burning in their heart, going, I'm hearing some things here that I would love to know more about. How could they connect with you?
the best way is through my website, jordanmercedes.com. And there are a couple of areas where you can find out what I offer. You can learn about the Brave Coaching Mastermind, the Leadership Mastermind, one-on-one coaching, or if you just have a question about the book or what might be possible for you, that they can connect through the website.
I love that. Jordan's website, as well as a link to the book, will be a part of the show notes. So make sure that you capture that. Jordan, thank you so much just for what you've shared. Thank you for leading with love today and opening this space with such humility. There's just such power in community, and it's really been reflected today just in the conversation. So we're just so grateful for you.
As I think back in my coaching career, some of the best moments that I've had have been in group coaching. So whether you are a coach, whether you are a business owner, whether you are a layperson serving in your church or community, a coach approach, a group coach approach is so effective. Even if you say, oh, I don't call myself a coach, and you listen to this podcast, pick up this book just for the resources and the learning that you will do about how to lead well in a group environment. So those moments are moments that Jordan loves, Erica loves, I love to have. And we just encourage you to remember that every ordinary day has an extraordinary moment. You just have to look for them. So Jordan, thank you for joining us today on the podcast and making this an extraordinary moment for us as well.